The Undercover Policing Inquiry Tranche 2 Phase 2. We are listening to the third day of evidence of HN1, the undercover police officer Matt Rayner, who infiltrated animal rights groups in the early 90s. Heather Mendick has returned, who was previously of this parish. We've been listening to a lot of stuff about the suspicions that activists had about HN1, and particularly that Andy Coles, who we heard from before Christmas, who was another undercover officer deployed at the same time, apparently was party to knowing that there was these suspicions, reported to the managers, and that HN1 wasn't told.
Yes.
He was really annoyed about this.
He was. Actually, that was quite enjoyable, wasn't it?
Wasn't it, though?
Yeah. I think we're all, because we're on Twitter, all the tweets are about liking the tensions within the unit when they're revealed. And this is what, I mean, clearly there was competition when you were undercover in the same area and overlapping as Andy Coles and HN1 were. And I think it was when Andy Coles was being questioned, he was said, well, only one person came to your leaving do, and Matt Rayner said we do have loads of people. So in fact there was a kind of playing on that, which David Barr did, which I don't think the woman who's doing the questioning today is...
Emma Gupta.
Yeah, I don't think she's really playing on it so much.
Not so much, but I think she's done a very good job. She got him to say, well, this is an area where I'll be a little less than loyal.
Yes. Yeah,
and then she was like, are there any other issues which you're being too loyal to speak out about? Oh, well, this is a spike, it stands out. So basically admitted that he's not saying a lot of things.
Yes.
But this is an area he felt was very unprofessional. Yeah. Clearly, he's really suppressing his disdain for Andy Coles.
Yes.
And we've yet to find anybody who likes Andy Coles on any
brother,
side.
I think his brother likes him.
Oh, do you think?
Well, he seems to be... he was on TV, wasn't he, bigging up his brother?
He was,
the spy.
it's for Christmas, and being very... there's a complaint about that at the moment.
Is that?
From Jessica.
Oh, that's really good, because that was pretty gross.
Yeah, awful. On the last leg, if anybody saw that.
Yeah.
We've also seen a bunch of his reports about the protests at the Leighton Street slaughterhouse. There are lots of times where it's very clear that he's reporting on that the group was going to do criminal damage, and this happened, and that happened. Well, how did you... Oh, no, I didn't take part. I never went inside. I never did any criminal damage.
This is probably where she's been best at pushing him. She actually, just before the break, was saying, is it really tenable that you were an activist who was totally supportive of the Animal Liberation Front, totally supportive of direct action, of getting arrested, but were never willing to actually do any of those things? And he's like, yeah, that's totally loads of people like that. She's like, write the names down of at least one person like that. But she just doesn't believe him, and she never says you are lying directly, but she kind of basically says you're lying over and over again. And she's always saying, are you sure? Are you sure? Why didn't you report that? It came up with the Grand National demo yesterday, didn't it? The same pattern of behaviour. Like you must have known in advance this was going to happen, so why did you go along? Why didn't you report it? I had no idea. I was just driving people. No one talked to me about anything. They were in the back of my van talking about it, but I couldn't hear. You know, that kind of thing. Yeah. And also, I mean, like, just very detailed in some of his reports, and very detailed explanations of criminal activity, but with, like, anecdotally style. Do you know what I mean? It's clear that he's there, and it's like, oh no, I was told about it afterwards. These are other people's words. I'm just repeating. It's like they're not in quote marks. There's nothing to suggest that's the case. I mean, it's not. It's not tenable. No, the last one she did was a home visit to
a bullfighter.
I know, the last British bullfighter. Wikipedia'd him. So yes, he's got Spanish citizenship now.
Right, okay.
Which seems wise.
Of course he does.
Yes. So they did a home visit to this bullfighter, and he's like, I don't remember.
Frank Evans, was it?
Yeah, Frank Evans. I don't remember going to it. Then she's like, well, you must have gone. He's like, yeah, I probably just turned up and didn't know what it was. It's like just like he was wandering around.
I know. They think this was like 50 people from all over the UK had gone down specially, and it's like, oh, I didn't know. Didn't know what to expect. I mean, it says that they'd all decided that if the house was empty, they would do some damage to the house.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, what would you have done? I was like, oh, I wouldn't have. And it's like, so you're the only one, wouldn't you have stuck out? Oh, no, that would have been fine.
Yeah. That's over and over again, isn't it?
Yeah.
I was part of these 8 people who were in a boot shop causing trouble, but I wasn't causing trouble.
Yeah.
And not all of them were. I just didn't think to report which ones were and which ones were. You know?
Yeah.
It's just he kind of holds on to his narrative for so long, and she pushes him, and he keeps going.
Yeah.
And it's like so contorted by the end, isn't it?
It is very, very contorted, very, very contorted, and just like she just pulls all the credibility out of his defence, really. He's It doesn't look like he's going to break and admit the reality of the situation. I think he came close when it was the stuff about how Andy Coles was telling management about suspicions, and they decided not to tell him because they didn't trust him. He got a bit annoyed by that.
Yeah.
If there's something else like that comes up again, we might see another little chink in the armour. But for the most part, he's sticking to his, quite frankly, unbelievable lines. You know? Yeah,
I mean, he's really good. He's doing distinctions all the time between himself and the other officers.
Yes.
He started with that, with the "I'm different than Bob Lambert."
Yeah.
You know, and I think it would be good to push him on that. It's like, well, you know, Bob Lambert also said that. There was nothing wrong with what he did at the time. So why do you think there's a difference?
Yeah.
And particularly because Bob Lambert was on his manager.
Yes.
And I think there's definitely some kind of tension there. That these apologies that are big issues. They're not about me. I'm just a nice person. And everything I did was real. I mean, okay, I was lying to everyone and reporting on that, but it was all real.
It's so offensive, isn't it?
It is, isn't it?
We started hearing a little bit about the Liz Fuller, the relationship that he had with whatever. Obviously, we heard from Liz on Tuesday when she gave evidence. There's a lot more of that to come. I kind of fancy that's what, probably this afternoon, I think, it's going to be Liz Fuller. We'll wait and see. We probably should get back. It's about to start again in a minute. Thanks for joining. We'll do another video at lunchtime. Cheers.